man speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
Boom. All right. Here we are for another Friday Pirate Live stream. Live. We get to go on Rumble this time because now Facebook doesn't work because StreamYard is completely broken and who knows what's going on. So that is that. It has been a strange week indeed. But we are here now, and I have my Sam Pal. Hopefully, you have a suitable drink for the ride. Of course, I have my Muppet cup. Have you considered? You should. You should consider all the time. With some lovely Sam Pal in it, of course. And then I've got some lovely Bear Claw tea in the skull mug. Straight from Table Rock Tea, real American tea grown right here in the great state of South Carolina. And then I've got my turmeric tea here with some honey, some Manuka honey in the captain's mug. Smells delicious. Needs some more sitting time for sure. Turmeric and ginger, lovely stuff. Great for the digestion. I always need help with that, so I'll take it. So yeah, it's been one hell of a week. It has been crazy. Twitter is nuts, and everybody on there is dumb, pretty much. Somebody mentioned economy, which is ironic because I had written this up already, and I was mentioning economy as part of scale, of course, because it is and it's important. Hopefully, it'll help people understand scale a little bit better when I talk about economy, but we'll find out. We'll find out. And yeah, I mean, it just people make these self-contradictory statements like, well, the ruling class, invented the economy. And it's like, nobody invented the economy. Like they didn't create the economy and it can be recreated. And it's like, all right, well, no, that's not true. But let's suppose it was true. You ain't reinventing it anyway, and you ain't participating in it being reinvented. So who cares? Like pragmatism for the win. Why are you thinking about? You're not part of anybody that can do anything about economy. Economy is way bigger than you or I or you and I together even. So I don't know why people talk like this. And then it was, oh well, the ruling class. Like these are the words they're using, not me. Ruling class uses it as collective bargaining. But they're already a class. Like a class is a collection. This makes no sense. Bargaining. Why? They're the rulers. The rulers don't have to bargain with you. They're your rulers. Like this makes no sense to talk like this. Oh, we're going to tank your bonds. Okay. You don't make any money on bonds, or to the extent you make money on bonds, who cares? It's pennies compared to what they make on bonds. So they're not going to tank bonds. Like that doesn't even make any sense. Like none of what this person's saying makes any sense. And I'm just like, why? And no one pushes back except me, of course. I just like completely filleted him because you got to push back on these people or they don't know they're retarded. And they need to know they're retarded because they're retarded. and they should be thinking about things that are within their realm and not outside of it. That will play into today's discussion. The other thing that sort of occurred to me is a lot of people talk about consensus or democracy. Democracy is a form of consensus. Just in case you don't know that, fair enough if you don't. Democracy is a form of consensus. So they'll talk about consensus and they'll make an appeal. Well, most people agree or most scientists agree, right? And it's like, that's how you use distributed cognition because you don't know reality. And so you can't appeal to anything else. You have to appeal to the mob. That's what's going on there. So don't listen to people who have to appeal to the mob because they don't know what they're talking about. Because why would you appeal to the mob if you've got the facts and evidence to back you? What's the other thing about economy? Oh yeah, but the economy is created. Okay, who created it and when and what economy did they create? Just give me an example. Oh, they don't have one. How awkward. How awkward for them that they don't have an example. Why don't you have an example? Like, if you think this is true, you should be able to find one instance of it somewhere. And the irony is, I actually know of some planned economies that have worked, but they don't. And they're the ones making the claim. And I'm like, no, your claim's already wrong, even if you're right by accident. So piss off. They don't know reality. And so, look, before we dive in, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So before we dive in, let's grab our favorite text here, at least on this live stream. And we will turn to a random page. This is in a section called The Scandal of Prediction. I'm going to use the last one. For Seneca, the Stoic sage should withdraw from public efforts when unheeded. Oh, that's interesting. And the state is corrupt beyond repair. Oh, I guess Taleb answered the question I had. It is wiser to wait for self-destruction. Holy cats. Well, there we go. I was wondering where the conservatives were. I think Taleb just answered it for me. Thank you, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, you genius. That is fantastic. Okay, they're in hiding. They're waiting for self-destruction to come back out and rebuild. That totally fits. This is amazing. Nassim Taleb for the win again, as pretty much always, because he's quite good at what he does. He knows his stuff. That's why I use him. Wonderful stuff. Yeah, so I am going to do something a little tiny bit different. There was this video that Kanye put out as a music video. And Jonathan Peugeot, who normally I love, did a symbolic interpretation of the video. And I was quite upset by it. I felt it was wrong. And I was really flummoxed. I was completely confused. And so I told Sally, you have to watch this and tell me what you think. You have to. And one of the things that Jonathan got into is the weirdest definition I've ever heard of surrealism. And I was like, what do you I mean, he's the artist and I'm not an artist and I didn't take any art in school. I mean, I took drawing art, not history of art or any nonsense like that. Right. I didn't go to college. So, whatever art I took was finger paints. Right. And so I thought, why would I assume that I was right about that? I wouldn't assume my definition of surrealism was right compared to Jonathan Peugeot. He went to art school. Sally's first comment was, did he go to art school? Because that's not what the definition of surrealism is. And I went, oh, thank goodness. And then she came up with a bunch of stuff that, of course, I didn't come up with because I don't do symbolic interpretation. That's not I'm not a symbolism guy. I'm a pattern guy. That's very different, actually. It's not slightly different. It's very different. You have to understand some types of symbolism to do patterns for sure, or at least to do sophisticated enough patterns. But you don't need to understand symbolism the way Jonathan Peugeot does to do that. Although he's in the church and I am dog-headed, so I am not in the church. And that actually matters quite a bit. And in fact, I think that affects his interpretation. But that inspired me while talking to Sally Joe earlier today. And so I'm going to try this out. I'm going to give you an example up front for you to ruminate on and marinate in your head, if you will, of scaling. And I'm also going to make several probably very, I don't know, what do I want to say? Controversial claims that I'm going to stick by. So if you're going to try to convince me otherwise, you're a fool, and I will out argue you every time because I'm definitely not wrong about this. Kanye is in the wrong place in the scale of the world. Music, or alleged music, which I'm going to argue it's not, like rap and hip hop, this is assemblage. It's putting parts together. Okay? Except at the right scale, maybe, but it's not creating music from scratch. I'm not saying it doesn't involve any talent or anything like that, but lots of things, you know, some people can eat 30 hot dogs in 2 minutes or whatever the heck it is. Like, I guess that's a talent. If rap and hip hop are a talent, that is also a talent. Talents don't sound interesting to me at that point, which fine. If that's your definition, I don't care. Something like a beatbox in person works fine because you can see the skill, you're there, you're participating in a way with the person. In other words, things like rap and hip hop can work fine in the ghetto, on the streets, in a relatively small group, right? Not thousands, right? Probably not even hundreds, probably not even 100, maybe not even 50. And it can serve as a signal for talent or skill, which would be better, or acumen or ability or whatever these things are. Okay. But if you scale it up, what you're going to notice is rap and hip hop. These things rely very heavily on drum sounds, but there's no drummer because they don't scale. They don't scale up to millions of record sales. Even if you do a beatbox recording on the album, you aren't witnessing the skill. You aren't participating correctly with that skill. You aren't able to appreciate it in its fullness because it has been flattened and pressed onto a record or burned onto a disc or double compressed into an MP3 file. You don't want to get into the technical argument with me because I actually know that fairly well, and that will end badly for you. People have done it before. I always wipe the floor with them because they're out of their depth, and I am not on that. Technology is my number one thing, for sure. There's a flattening there. Even uncompressed, it's already flat. That's why you press a record. That's why you cut little ones and zeros on a disc for a DVD or a CD. That's what it is. It's actually physically, materially a flattening. And what you hear cannot be properly appreciated for what it is. That's the way in which you know the type of music doesn't scale. That's how you know. Maybe there's other ways to know, but like that's a tell right there. It doesn't scale. So I want you to think about that in the background while I'm explaining scale, hopefully a little bit better to you using way more tools. So sadly, the etymology of the word will completely betray you. It actually takes a bit of research to see how the ancient Greeks used the term. And on the basis of that research, I have validated our English usage of the term despite a poor translation, via etymology. Like, I do my research. I know most of these people that talk, they don't even Google things. And I do way more than quote Google things because I like research. I'm good at research and I do it. I enjoy it. So what I mean is, behold, scale is not an object. There is an object called a scale. That's different, right? But it's the quality of a specific type or set of objects that are alike, where the quantity of those objects controls a difference in manifestation, but not in principle. And this gets confusing pretty quickly. I understand that, right? Because we often look at the world with invalid groupings. So we'll group together things that don't belong together. Like, if you look at the world in terms of, say, politics, instead of in terms of the goals of the Democratic Party, the goals of the Republican Party, and the goals of the people, that might be a better way to do that. You notice there's 3 things and not 2, because 2 is evil and reductionist by its nature. 2 things is not enough to explain anything. Then you're not you would have a way to understand the world with the 3 buckets, but you're not going to understand policy. You're going to end up going, well, the 2 parties are just the same. Well, yeah, because they have a lot of overlap. The question is, where are the goals of the parties, and how does that align with the goals of the people? And that's a matter of grouping. So if you group things in terms of politics and you put people in with the politicians, their goals are already different. And they should be. Like, politicians at the federal or state level should be worrying about the health of the federal or state objects. And while you are one of those objects, you're at the bottom of the hierarchy of those objects, and they can't possibly pay attention to you because states have big populations, and there's a very large population within the quote United States at the federal level. Okay, so if you group things wrong, you won't understand that scale. If you group them according to like type, there's the voters, there's the politicians, there's politicians with one group of ideas or one group of one line of thought about how to implement ideas is actually more correct. And there's another group with a different line of thought about how to implement those same ideas. Right. And then there's the people again who see the world differently because they're looking from below. And they don't care about the health of the state. They care about the health of their family. Fair enough. Politician, your senator does not care about your health. Okay, I'm sorry, or the health of your family. I'm sorry, they don't, and they can't. Like, how would they privilege your family over other families? And to the extent that they do that, people get upset and call it nepotism and call it, they're preferring their friends. We all prefer our friends. That's what friends are. They're the people we prefer. Like, this isn't that hard, right? Just thinking about the world backwards at some point. And when you group things wrong, you don't see the scale. The proper scale is the people at the bottom, the people running the state way above them, two layers of government at least, maybe 3 above them. Sometimes there's, there's city government first or whatever. There's county government usually on top of that, right? And then there's your state government typically, right? And then there's the federal government, okay? So that's where you are. If you group the people correctly, and then you look at the behavior of voters, then you can understand scale better at the voting layer. And you can understand why politicians on both sides might have common goals and be ready, willing, and able to agree on certain things that from your perspective look bad. They don't look bad from their perspective. Whether they're bad or not is not the thing here. Like, I'm not trying to make claims about this person did this bad thing I make plenty of those claims and I can back them all up. Okay. I'm not doing that here. I'm just saying when they agree, then the things they disagree on are not always the goal. They're often just how to get to the goal. But you don't see that because you're not at that layer of the hierarchy and you're not looking at the world in that way. That's why scale matters. And you may not be able to either, ever. That might be the real problem, is you're trying to look at something at a scale that you don't exist at and that you can't understand for whatever reason. Like, fair enough, we all have scales we can't understand. Like, that's not a big deal. That's called Tuesday. So I understand it gets confusing to see scale because of bad groupings, bad naming. That happens all the time. We name things poorly. We name something like economics, and then we don't realize economics is about human behavior. It's about explaining human behavior in hindsight. It's not a predictive thing. It doesn't allow for predictions. That's why, as Nassim Taleb says, all economists are frauds. He's backed off on that a little bit, but also it's close enough. There's only a handful of good economists. The rest of them are actual frauds. They make bad predictions all the time. All constant. In fact, they don't do anything else, as near as I can tell. They usually don't even have their own discipline of economics correct, much less their predictions. And that's fine, but also bad grouping, bad grouping. Economics is not a predictive tool. Like, it's not supposed to be. If you think it is, you're wrong. It's not that hard. And the reason why you can't see scaling when you group things, say, in political, it's Democrats and Republicans. It has nothing to do with the people versus the people in charge. Better again, that's a better grouping. What's going to happen is you're going to see things change at scale. And you're not going to recognize that it's a change in scale because different things are going to manifest and change differently at the same scale because they're different groupings, right? And so you're just going to get confused. It's going to look chaotic. You're not going to understand what happened. These are the people that don't understand the Trump election and what Trump's doing. Nothing that Trump has done surprised me at all. If it surprised you, I feel badly for you. You're overcomplicating your world model because what he's doing is not hard to understand at all. It's very simple, right? And maybe it takes some skill, or maybe it just takes watching my channel and getting the right framing down, because that's probably all it takes, hopefully. And if I'm missing stuff, let me know. I'll try to do those videos. So when you don't have proper grouping, you can't see scale as anything but chaotic change. And then you need a different way to explain the world. So you go from listening to, Jocko Willink or Jordan Peterson to listening to Jonathan Peugeot or some priest online, or right. And then, or maybe you jump to Lex Friedman and Eric Weinstein. Like, you're just jumping around, right? Because eventually their little systems blow up, or something in the world changes, and now the thing that they were talking about is no longer relevant or important. It's been resolved, or it didn't work out the way they thought it would, or it worked out exactly the way they thought it would. And now there's something else that needs explanation, and their system doesn't work for that. And so bang, you just jump around. And that's because they're trying to understand something at a scale that they can't see clearly. So let me try to explain this in different terms. The musical scale goes up and down. That should be a hint, by the way. This up and down thing is going to be important next week. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll do next Friday. Notice that to scale an object like a mountain is to climb. Fish or dragon scales are layered at different points on the animal. They're also smaller or larger at the same time. Ah, you didn't think of that, did you? And this is more to the point. Scale isn't a linear, discrete, single axis measure. It really means something closer to layer with varying sizes, right? Because the size of the scale doesn't make it not a scale. The number of scales doesn't make each individual scale not a scale. But the different size and the different numbers of scales make the scales collectively into something different. Maybe in the case of dragons, which are real, by the way, maybe it makes it into armor. Right? So that's a better way to think about scale. Excuse me. What about the scales of justice? A better way to discuss justice more than mere balance. Of course, since no one knows how a balance beam works, you must weigh the values of actions and conditions against a higher principle. Without an understanding of what a balance beam is and how it works and what the principle is behind it, you have some standard and you're weighing something before you. You're not weighing two things that are coming from the outside. That's not what you're doing. You're weighing the evidence against the standards of virtues and values. Then you're making a determination as to A, whether or not you have enough evidence to do a thing, or B, I have enough evidence, and then what I need to do about it, that's three things, not two things. If two of them go together, maybe I understand that. Maybe not. Maybe there's a middle position where you're like, I'm pretty sure he's guilty, but we don't know how guilty, so we kind of have to give him a suspended sentence. That happens all the time, by the way. So you're weighing things against a higher principle, virtues and values, in order to correct what appears to be an error in measurement. You don't need justice until you have an error in measurement. Behaviors have to be out of alignment either with each other or with the virtues and values before you require the justice. And this is how justice is properly implemented. Are you confused yet? I'm still trying, guys. This is a long one. We'll get through it. In mathematics, scale is all about proportionality, preserving some kind of similarity. Things which are scale invariant, Taleb talks about this a lot, behave the same at different scales. The structure is preserved despite the quantity changing or the scale being different. The form doesn't change, only the manifestation. Okay, so you see it differently because of the scale, but it's essentially untouched. So one of the things Taleb talks about, this is a more recent finding, we'll call it, in mathematics, is that if you have a small set of numbers, you can have a large quantity of numbers, but a small range of numbers, and you try to apply a random generator to them, a randomness algorithm or whatever, you can't do it because the set's too small and an order always appears. If you scale up the range of that numbers, whether you scale the quantity or not, although you need a certain quantity to see randomness, then randomness appears. Well, guess what? If you scale up further, the randomness goes away again. And then any attempt to create randomness in a sufficiently large set, and it is a very large set, will result in order. Which is interesting, right? Because what it really states is there's order at the top, and you can't destroy that order that is above. That's something to think about. That has profound implications. All right. So ultimately, from all of this, hopefully, you have derived, if not, I'm going to derive it for you. That's what I'm here for. How things change in appearance. That's what scale is. How things change in appearance, but not in their function. So they appear differently, but nothing's changed about them. The function's still going, but the results of that function are different to you. The frame does not impact the principle, but it looks different to you. The way you buy carrots in the store is unlike how the store buys the carrots. They buy lots of carrots, for example, like as in a lot of carrots. I don't know how many, 1,000, 2,000, I have no idea. I don't operate at that scale. I've never been a buyer for a store. Okay? Which is unrelated to how the farmer sells the carrots, right? And the way the farmer sells the carrots has nothing to do with the way the store sells the carrots. The selling's the same, by the way. It's the same. I give you money, you give me stuff. When it's more stuff, it not only is it more money, but it's less money per carrot, which is how the store makes money. They get the carrots cheaper because they buy them bulk and they give them to the consumer, and it costs them money to get the carrots, transport the carrots, maybe partially store the carrot. I mean, you're going to store them somewhere until they're all put out on display. You pay somebody to put them out on display, right? You're probably paying for packaging too, right? And then there might be a middleman in that process. Like there might be a big chain, right? But all of that is unrelated to how a farmer sells carrots, right? Because they grow them and sell them in still larger lots, usually to more than one place. So we have the same physical material, right? Item, carrot, And the same process, trade, right, or buying and selling, but it looks totally different from each perspective because of the amount of carrots we are talking about. And yeah, they go through transformation because you have to transform them. And if you want a good tasting carrot, yeah, you have to grow the carrot yourself and pick it, or go somewhere where you can pick it, or buy it from a farm stand. But buying things from a farm stand is fundamentally different from buying them. You're getting a different quality product. Buying them at the store, but you're still just buying a carrot, but it's different. The principle's the same, but because the quantity and the interaction type are different, everything changes. But that's scale. The farmer can sell you a better quality carrot at his farm stand than the grocery store can sell you. You're still just buying a freaking carrot. You're giving somebody money and getting carrot. It's not that hard. And you can nitpick and say farmers growing the carrots, but the process of selling them is what's important. And sure, you might have a farm stand, but that still doesn't work like a grocery store. It just doesn't. It's a fundamentally different thing. So what is the difference here? The quantity of the carrots, the amount of money being transferred, how often that money is transferred, right? They buy the carrots once a week, maybe, I don't know, whatever period it is, and that's it. People come in and buy carrots like every couple of minutes at the grocery store. And the time that the money gets transferred, how the product is moved. I just grab a bag of carrots, maybe a paper bag if it's a farm stand. The grocery store doesn't buy a bag of carrots. Or if they do, they buy them from a middleman who got them from a farmer, right? It's just another scale. Right? We go from growing to logistics to point of sale. The whole time we are only transacting freaking carrots. It just looks different, even though it's exactly the same process around exactly the same material with exactly the same end result. Someone is trading money and getting carrot. That's scale. That's why it looks different, because it's at a different scale. With scale, the rules change, not the principles. If you want to see a principle in action, look for where the rules change and nothing else except the rules and the quantity changes. The principle will be revealed. Principles are not rules. That's why they're different words in the language. I'm like, no. Those words are different because they point to different concepts. Otherwise, we wouldn't need the other word. Not that hard. Rules are not principles. And you can see that point. Like, you can see where the quantity changes and the rules change, and bang. The way you run a city government has no overlap with the way you run a state government. And when different scales try to copy higher or lower scales, it usually goes horribly wrong. Sometimes it doesn't, because they're following a principle and not a set of rules. But the rules for the Senate are not the same as the rules that you're going to find in any other type of state government, because they can't be. And there might be some overlap. I get that. But also, those are the things that are principles. The nitpicky stuff is rules, because you need rules. You can't do it. You can't just default to all principles for everything. That doesn't make any sense. You would be trying to destroy scale, which would collapse the hierarchy, and that would be evil. So please don't do that, because I'm a no on evil and I have to live here and I prefer you not. That's all. It's not hard. And I know this is confusing, that rules are implementations based on size and the makeup of a set, right? Which is a linear and discrete way of thinking about the world. Yes, there's a place for linear and discrete. It's called within a scale. But linear and discrete, when those things no longer function, that is an indication that you have changed scales. Principles are scale invariant. That's how you can tell a principle. The principle of trade, of giving something to get product, does not change in the carrot example at any point. The farmer is giving you carrots to get money. He's probably only getting paid once or twice a year. By the way, ag people typically only make money 1 or 2 months a year. All of it. They don't make any money outside of that, or any significant money outside of that. So it's a good thing that they got a lot of money, and hopefully they can get like $100,000 or $200,000 in that month to support their family for the rest of the year, which changes their spending patterns, by the way. Right? And then, if the store turns that into $500,000 of sales, everybody wins. No one's losing. Everybody's winning. They're going to lose most of that $500,000, but they're selling at scale in bulk to lots of people. And so they can do things like leverage debt, which the farmer has to do differently if they can do it at all, because the flow of money in the store is constant. And so they can borrow. If you have a constant money flow, especially a daily money flow, you can borrow almost infinite amounts of money. As it turns out, I can't, because I don't have a huge daily inflow of income, right? Because if you're selling to 1 million people a day, or even just 100,000 people a day, you only need to make a 1% profit. That's all you need to do. You need to be 1% over your expenses. That's it. You'll make a ton of money. It'll be enough. Most large businesses, the larger they get, most large businesses make a smaller profit margin, percentage-wise. It doesn't mean they don't make a gob ton of money. Right? But you don't understand that, because you don't operate at that scale. And I understand that you don't operate at that scale. This is why it's very tricky to go on about which company is good and which company is bad. I know I've talked about this before, but I remember a time not too long ago, ExxonMobil or Exxon. It was Exxon back then. Exxon was the largest capitalized company on the stock market, and everyone was pissed off because Apple wasn't. And they were like, well, it's an oil company. They were greedy, and they were making a 5% profit margin, because oil companies generally make between 5 and 10%. That's it. That's all they make. Of course, they transact a lot of oil every day. And so 5% of whatever ridiculous hundreds of millions or billions or tens of billions of dollars, I have no idea, that these companies deal with, well, it turns out that covers your gas and groceries and a couple of extra homes, It's not bad. It's a good deal. Okay. Apple, as a consumer electronics company, is the only one that does this, makes 30% profit on all their stuff. So you think the oil companies are greedy? These jerk-offs at Apple are making 30% off of your sorry ass for the pretty little iPhone. I mean, good for them. I'm not mad. I'm not going to criticize them. I'm also not going to criticize the oil company. I think they're pretty cool. I like oil. I use oil in my car. Oil makes gasoline, or at least gasoline comes with oil. Like, all good stuff. Like, I got no complaints about Exxon or ExxonMobil or any oil companies. Sorry. I don't have a terribly huge number of complaints about Apple's profit margin. If they can get away with it, and they can sucker you people into paying too much money for slightly better than average, to be fair to them, hardware, that's great. I have problems with their software ecosystem, but I'm a software engineer and a technologist, and they suck. But not for the profit reasons. And that's a principle. Like, I'm not mad at their profit. I could care less who makes how much money or who loses how much money, because most businesses lose money. That's why most businesses fail. But I do care how you use your technology. This is what I care about. Maybe you care too much about money, or at least too much about other people's money. That's usually a bad plan, because it's not yours. Anyway, pragmatism would save you if you would let it. Fair enough. But you don't understand what's going on at the scale of Apple or ExxonMobil. You just don't. Sorry, I don't. I know a little bit about it because I work for Fortune 500 companies, and I've done a lot of consulting for large corporations and banks and stuff. So I kind of know how some of that stuff works, because when I go consult someplace, I try to figure out everything I can about the industry I'm in, because it's fun for me. It keeps my brain occupied, and it also makes me a better consultant. I can do better work. And the way you know the difference between rules, between linear and discrete things and principles, which expand well beyond the realm of where the linear and discrete thinking can take you, is scale. Scale is the thing that changes linear and discrete into parabolic or exponential growth or collapse, exponential collapse. Those are the edges of the scale of the thing you're looking at. And that's why video game thinking is so dangerous. Video games are closed worlds with only rules. Unlike reality, which also has principles and scale, video games do not have scale. They use tricks of linear and discrete mapping to fool you into thinking they are operating at a different scale. I'm not saying you can't necessarily make a video game scalable. I did a design with a few friends of mine years ago that would scale a video game. If you have a few $1 million, it's going to be at least 10 or 12, and you want to do that, give me a call. I might be interested. Going to have to devote a lot of that money just to me, but I'm down for it. I would still like to build that system someday. Probably never going to happen, but just in case anyone's out there wants to do it, I have most of the architecture done in my head, and a lot of it's been built. I don't have the licensing for that code, but we can just reproduce it. It's not a problem. And the thing is, digital systems do automatic scaling, and so like Google Maps, right? You can change the scale, like the pinch. And this destroys our relationship to scale because we can change it using our will and believe we have seen something new. When the scale changes, you didn't see anything new. You just got a different perspective on the same thing. Different perspective on the same thing. You didn't see anything new. That didn't happen to you. That might be very scary, but also it is what it is. It's important to know that. The screen is the same size, right? The frame has become invisible and is subject to our will. So, where's my stupid phone? If I pinch this screen to scale it, I am in charge. It's subject to, I want this scale. No, I want that scale. No, I want this scale. No, rotate this way. I control the whole frame of the image I'm seeing. And yet the actual frame is right here. It didn't change at all. But I think it changed. This is that video game reality problem. This is part of it. And see the previous videos on that. But explicitly, this gives us a God complex. Well, why is everybody narcissistic, Mark? Oh, I have no idea. I can't figure it out. I mean, if that's what you're confused about, don't watch this. I can't help you. Like, there's just no way. It's so easy. We're constantly in the postmodern error, because it was a mistake. It's an error. Playing God. And then we wonder why everyone's a narcissist and why no one wants to cooperate and participate. Well, I'm surprised anybody cooperates with anybody ever. Quite honestly. And another factor in all this, because we don't understand scale, is the confusion of the general for the specific. You can't tell them apart anymore. And people talk like this all the time, right? And, sometimes because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. It sort of depends, right? Sometimes I'll whine about people bringing up exceptions to the rule because I'm often talking about rules, not principles. That is a confusion of the general for the specific. So it's fair to say, most women don't like sports. And if somebody counters with, well, my girlfriend loves football, or look at this woman who, reports on the football and the pregame show, it's like, I don't know what we have to do with these people, but we have to do something with them. They're idiotic. This is an idiotic point. Women don't like sports. Like, I'm sorry. they shouldn't either. Like, that is the correct ordering of the world. And the fact that there will be exceptions to that rule is called Tuesday. The sun rises in the east, gravity holds me to the ground, the sky is blue, and water is wet. Like, why are you bringing this up? But that's often just a confusion. It's a proof of a loss of sense of scale. The fact that you can find a specific instance that doesn't seem like it fits into my rule means you don't understand that the rule applies to a group and not a single item. Those are different and they operate differently at scale. Any general case has exceptions, hence the term general and not some other word like specific, which is a different word. So pointing out these exceptions is dangerous. I'm not saying you can't do it or you should never do it. I often point out exceptions to prove that, because people make claims as fundamentalists, because a lot of people are fundamentalists, whether they are, quote, religious or not, it's irrelevant. They're fundamentalists. They believe in propositions and logic as like the guiding principles of the universe or some other nonsense, which they certainly are not. And then pointing out to them that that can't be true because this thing exists in this way is valid. Very tricky thing. I understand that. It's quite confusing, right? But it depends on the claim and if they are in fact exceptions or the generalization is just wrong. So a generalization that's wrong, as I mentioned earlier, hopefully you noticed it, is to say something like the Democrats without differentiating Democratic voters from Democratic politicians. It's weird to me that people make that particular mistake. And it's very frustrating because people will often say, oh, politicians. So now we have a different group called politicians. I actually like that grouping. That grouping's okay for me. Politicians are liars. Okay. Then why would you loop the Democratic voters in with the Democratic politicians? If these guys are worthy of being called liars publicly, are you saying these guys are also liars to people that vote for them? Because in many cases that might be true. Different live stream. Don't challenge me on that. You're going to look real dumb if you try to like make me wrong about that. Because the data is in. Right? There's actual data. If you looked it up, you'd find out and you'd probably die of shock, but it's no concern of mine, right? I don't think you should do that though, because it doesn't hold true on the other side. Like Republicans, particularly conservative Republicans, which are in short supply, maybe no supply, as I mentioned at the top of the stream. Why with that lovely Taleb quote, which you should check out if you haven't heard the beginning of the stream. Conservative Republicans don't care if politicians lie to them. They actually don't. They take it for granted that politicians lie, and they count on them to lie in the best interest of the country or of the state. That's actually how they think. That's the difference between how conservatives think and how Democrats think or liberals. That's the difference. There are other differences. That's the primary difference right there. They can both agree that politicians lie. Well, don't lump your voters in with your politicians. That's crazy grouping. Except on the left, it might work better. But it doesn't work perfectly or anything. It's still not a good grouping, even on the left. Pains me to say that because I just dislike the left in general for so many good reasons, which I have data to back up, by the way. Anybody wants to challenge me on that, I love to win, and you can't win that argument. So bring it on. So where does this leave us? We need to discern scale and accept that we are operating at one scale at once and subject to the results of other scales. The farmer has almost zero impact on the price of your carrots. He can bring his price down by 10 grand. It ain't going to change. It's like less than a penny a carrot. Are they going to round each bag of carrots down? No, that's not going to happen. The consumer has more impact on the price of carrots. but not any single consumer, lots of consumers. And this does show up in economics. So what happens is the price of something changes too high. And then what happens is people don't spend less money, they shift the money they're spending. So instead of buying carrots, they'll buy more potatoes. This is well studied in economics. It's all over the data. People talk about economics, I swear they've never read any economics anything. They've never looked at the white papers or the studies. Then maybe they've read some economic theory, which doesn't contain any data generally. It just contains a bunch of like inference about how they think their stupid system is so awesome, even though they're wrong about everything. Like, it's ridiculous. Freakonomics is an exception. Read Freakonomics books. They're awesome. They're great. They really help you understand Taleb. Read Freakonomics and Taleb. Everybody should read Freakonomics and Taleb. It's a must read stuff. It's very hard to tell from being a person who buys carrots at the grocery store what changes the price, but it ain't the farmer and it ain't the distributor. It's generally the consumer. It can be the distributor. I mean, sometimes distribution costs go up, usually due to legal changes, by the way, right? Sometimes due to fuel costs. That happens too, right? And if you group those things together and you go, well, the price of carrots went up. It's like, well, no, the price of gasoline went up, or diesel more appropriately, and that causes all kinds of problems. Everything gets more expensive. And then it doesn't make any sense to buy more potatoes than carrots necessarily. It might. It depends on a lot of other factors. Like, you can't. But if you group things wrong, you won't understand these things. And maybe the price of diesel affects carrot prices more than it affects potato prices in your area. And that might only be in your area. The world is really complex. And that's partly because of the scale of the world. The world turns out to be the largest scale because that's what it means to talk about the world. It's not that hard. And of course, weather controls the price of carrots more than the farmer because it operates on multiple farmers at once with respect to harvesting times. The farmer and the consumer are subject to the weather. The farmer is not subject to the consumer, nor is the consumer subject to the farmer. Sorry. That means the hierarchy is deep and there's lots of layers. There's lots of scales in between you and the farmer or the rancher. Shout out to the ranchers. Otherwise, Sally Joe will kill me. These are not trivial distinctions. You need to acknowledge them, not to understand them. You do not need to understand them. That is not required. The sum total votes matters in an election, but not your vote. Your vote does not matter in an election. Or even the vote of you and all your neighbors, unless there's a very small election pool. You cannot understand why each other participant votes the way they do. But that doesn't mean you cannot manipulate how they vote in spite of not knowing why they vote the way they vote. They don't necessarily know why they vote the way they vote. Most people who vote, and this has been studied to death. This is totally replicable. It's been replicated hundreds of times for real. You can poll people on why they vote. And you can prove that they don't vote for the reasons that they say on paper. Sorry. That's just very common. Is it every single person? No, but it's like 90% of the population. They don't even know why they vote, so they can't even tell you. But you can stumble across how they vote and why they vote the way they vote and take advantage of that without understanding any of it. Just being good looking and having a good last name or a good first name can win you an election. Far more than spending money on the election, at least in the United States. Sorry. And that data has been around for decades at this point. Decades. You can manipulate people without knowing how and why they think and what they're thinking about. It's not that hard. I do it all the time. So do you without realizing it. Even better. How helpful. And once you understand how you you personally, singular, participate in the scale that you are at, the scale you exist at, and which other scales exist, you can be less anxious about the world. You can say, hey, the war in Iran definitely affects me because it affects the price of gas. Dozens of other factors also change the price of gas. Sorry, gas price has been way higher than this before, especially in inflation terms. Oh, in real dollar terms? 120 a barrel, huh? Sounds cheap, brother. Sign me up. Right. Didn't think about that, did you? No one ever does. Right? You aren't going to control the gas prices, and nor is the president, at least not for very long. They can do little things for very short periods of time, maybe a month or two at most, and maybe that's all they need to do, and maybe that will work, and it will be fine. That's possible too, so don't be all like, if you can't do it, why should you? Right, because a small effect can get you through a bad patch. Time is a factor, and time is part of scale. Changing the price of gas might be as simple as a smile or a frown or a kind or unkind word from one politician to another, or one member of OPEC to another. Right. Right. The Saudis could just pump more gas, and then who cares if the strait is closed? Right. And who knows? Who knows what affects? Not you and not me. No idea. But I know that example has happened. Only Nixon could go to China. Only Kennedy had the balls to call up Khrushchev to avert a nuclear war. Everybody else was too busy being stuck in whatever nonsense they were stuck in to just fix the problem with a freaking phone call because they're all retarded. Yes, they are. Actually, provably, dipshits. When you look down or to the past, which is the same thing in terms of scaling, by the way, you realize you have control over that scale. You have control over the past in that you control how you see it and what you remember from it and what you don't to some extent. If you don't see that that is a scale that is below you, you get a false sense of control of other things in the world, like the scale that you're in and the scale above you. Your ability to influence things beneath you is very, very, very high. That is how you get a guy like Michael Levin believing that he can solve world problems by manipulating the cells of an organism and isolating them in petri dishes, which is also called dissecting and torturing worms. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. I'm going to dissect and torture worms to discover the pre-existing order of biology. I mean, this is what he's not using these words. I'm paraphrasing for sure, but also like prove me wrong, right? By using the pre-existing order of biology so that I can understand the world better. Does it sound like alchemy to anybody? Because it is, right? And then I will be able, but this is where it goes wrong, because the alchemists, some of them were like this, obviously, but most of them were not. Then I'll be able to change the order of the world to prevent this thing. That's playing God. That's what it is. That's what the guy pretty much said that. Like, he said it more than once, but like, my goodness, nobody batted an eyelash either, because nobody wants to call out bad behavior anymore. I don't know why. It really pisses me off. I wish somebody would tell him to get stuffed, and because he needs that lesson. Like, he needs to hear, no, what you're proposing is actual evil. Please don't do actual evil. Please just don't. You're putting your time and your attention into something. If it could not be evil, that would be better. And he doesn't understand this. He thinks, well, I can manipulate cells at the cellular scale, and therefore that allows me to manipulate the world scale as well. I mean, he's 100% clear about that. But this is the most dangerous impression we have of our world. Even if there were only, say, 3 layers or levels to the hierarchy of reality, and we'll talk about that in a week or two, whatever. You are ignoring the other 2 and oversimplifying your highest positions without accepting that the other positions exist. It's a flattening. You're just not paying attention to the layers, scales of the world. And it's more important, right? Because you have less control over the scale you're in, and you have even less control of the scale above you. At the same time, they have more impact on you. The scale you're in has more impact on you. Yeah, maybe the cell's organized in a petri dish, but like if your relative is dying of cancer, that has a bigger impact on you. They're both cellular operations. But this one's in a petri dish and I control it because it's smaller than me. And the cancer is not me. It's technically smaller than me, but it's happening to something in my scale, a human scale. I have less control over that. And the impact is more because it's my freaking relative. And who cares about the stupid worm I just tortured? Maybe I should, though. Michael Levin should consider that. So should everybody that talks to him and misses the fact that he's torturing freaking worms. Hello, Muppets. Have you considered? Okay. Drives me nuts just thinking about it. Deep breath. Deep breath. This is dangerous indeed. This is a dangerous thing when we confuse that level of control we have at the lower level for having a similar or greater level of control at higher levels. This is just, it's not good. And the thing is, when you look across from you, you might see the chaos of the world. I mean, that's what I see right now. Did I always see it that way? No. Was it always there? Well, some of it was and some of it wasn't. I've said this a zillion times at this point on these live streams. Chaos is increasing. It's going to continue to increase. There will be more overall chaos as we continue to flatten the world, ignore hierarchy, or try to rebuild it ourselves, which is impossible. It's older than trees. It doesn't care about your preferences. It's not changing for you, sucker. That ain't happening. And the thing is, we as human beings, we cannot abide chaos. Chaos is dangerous. It's fundamentally dangerous for us. Absolutely it is. And so we make up a way to order it. Maybe we use some retarded way of thinking about the world like ring psychology, like Academic Agent did. Oh my God, what is wrong with his brain? Does he have one? Oh, if he does, we need to remove it or something. It's dangerous. Or some kind of philosophy. Oh, existentialism. Please stop. Please. You're just being dumb. You're increasing the dumbness in the world for no good reason. Or politics as frames. Like all three of those are frames. Terrible frames, but they're frames. Economics, another bad frame, right? And that makes the chaos go away, at least in our mind, by explaining things, right? And it's comforting descriptions, but they're often nothing more than comforting lies. Inconvenient truths, comforting lies. You're preferring the comforting lies. You've got this nice comforting description that's just wrong. And then when those descriptions fail, you'll find a new guru. Instead of just accepting that these things are chaotic from that perspective. And that the people that are giving you their perspective, even my beloved great man, Dr. Jordan Peterson, psychology has nothing to say about politics, guys. Why is he involving himself in politics? This makes no sense. And he thinks he can. And fair enough. I mean, it seems important, right? Because your beloved psychology failed you. So now you have to move to politics. You tried to change hearts and minds and fight wokeness without being political, and it didn't work. So now you're going to politics. I get it. Both bad frames. That's the answer. The answer is these were both bad frames. And the scale we understand the least well is actually the scale we are in. We cannot see it clearly at all because we're in it. We are the fish in the aquarium. We're swimming in the water. We don't understand the water. We may infer that the water is there through some clever logical trick, but we fool ourselves into thinking that gives us anywhere near enough information about the water to make inferences about it. And it doesn't, actually. It might explain certain limited properties of it, but That doesn't necessarily mean we can infer anything from those properties, because we actually can't. This is the mistake that science keeps making over and over and over again that drives me nuts and makes me homicidal. It's so frustrating to hear them make that mistake constantly. We cannot see what we're in clearly at all. It's a mess. We get simultaneously too much signal and not the correct signal. And we have to infer far more with low quality information in the scale that we're in. It's actually easier and better to look at the scale above us. And of course, the scale below us is much more clear to us. It's also the most important scale for us, for you, for me. It's the most important scale, since it's where all the action happens to us, with us. It's where all our participation is best afforded. We can participate with a lower scale. We can move atoms using an electron microscope. I just don't know why you want to. You can become a blacksmith and like make things, or a carpenter and make things. But you're not making random things. You're making things that serve yourself or other people. Well, that's one scale, the scale of people, or the scale of people around you or something. And such is our struggle as human beings. That's the scale we understand the least. It's the scale we're in. If only somebody had written a book a few thousand years ago helping us out with all this. Then again, I bet no one would have read it. And even if they would have read it, would they understand any of it? Probably not. And even if they understood it, would they follow it? Hell no. That, by the way, is what I think Kanye's video is about, among other things. You may learn more about that on Monday during a live stream. We'll see. When you look up, you might see the movement of the battle for culture. It's not a war, okay? You don't win or lose, nor will Jordan B. Peterson or the WEF win or lose this culture. What ridiculous frame. It's a ridiculous way to talk about the world. Like you're just sort of raping the word war and using it as you will. And that's inappropriate. The language is not yours to own and use and abuse in that fashion, sir or madam. They have no idea what is going on, and their mode of participation is wrong for the scale of the issue. So you have to know what's going on, and you have to have a mode of participation that's right for the scale that you're trying to change. If you're trying to change things on the world stage, you have to have a way of participating that can do that. And, giving speeches to the masses is not going to change how governance happens in the world. I'm sorry, it's not. And you're going to point to specific instances and Karl Marx and nonsense. Okay, if you actually dig into the history, and no one ever does because no one does their freaking research. Oh, so lazy. Everyone is so freaking lazy. You will notice, assuming you can see scale, that things like the French Revolution or Karl Marx, the reason why they had to change is because they were talking to a specific audience and it wasn't the masses. Robespierre was not part of the rabble that couldn't afford bread, okay, at any point in his life. He was noble. Karl Marx is hanging out with wealthy people who are funding him to write a stupid book written by a moron retard who doesn't know how to form sentences, much less define capital, which would be important if you're going to use the word all over the book. It would help if you had a definition of it included in your book, which you don't. But they enchanted the people in power. When you enchant the people in power, they can make changes. And maybe you're trying to do that. Maybe you're trying to invite, we'll say, the fringe people in power or the former people in power to attract more people in power so you can give them speeches on a stage at ARC. Maybe I ain't going to work. Bad participation. You're not going to win your culture war that way. That's why the wokeness isn't going away. And to the extent that it does, you're just going to change it into something else because you're not addressing it at the right scale. You don't even understand the problem. You need a good problem formulation, as Dr. Vervaeke says. I agree with that. I wish he could do a good problem formulation. That would be fantastic. Maybe we could all make some progress. The egregore of politics or the hyper object of the elites will not give you an understanding of economics or politics or anything. These are nonsensical frames for understanding the world. I'm sorry that that's what they are. But also they clearly, like at this point, the evidence is kind of in. Like none of the ways of understanding the world has afforded you any reasonable predictions. You've been wrong about actually everything. Can you move on now, please, and just like step aside? You want everybody else to step aside, but you're the moron who keeps making bad predictions. Why should they step aside? And the reason why you believe otherwise is because more information helps at lower scales. So you think more information helps because at lower scales? Absolutely does. That is, to be fair, the triumph of science. Science is highly successful at lower scales, but it's useless at the scale of you and I. That's why the, quote, science of psychology is very suspect. I'm not saying psychology can't be useful. We've gone over this a billion times before. I'll go over a billion more if I have to, but like it's also not really much of a science to the extent that it is a science. And it doesn't have the outsized effect that everybody wants it to have. And that's in their data. I don't need to appeal to anything else. I can say, look at the scientific data, that's good scientific data on psychology, and tell me that's a win. Come on, like let's get real here. And plus, understanding something at a higher scale does not mean that you can change it. Having an understanding of something or knowledge about something doesn't do anything anywhere to anyone at all, ever. A simple wrong explanation on something will reduce your anxiety just as well as a simple correct explanation about something. That's why you feel so good listening to Eric Weinstein and then Jocko Willink and then Jordan Peterson and then whoever else. It's not that hard of a trick. You're just hearing something novel and they're giving you a frame and it's calming your anxiety. And fair enough, you need your anxiety calmed, but they can't all be right. But they still calmed your anxiety. So, but if you believe that knowing something or understanding something or having information about something allows you to change it, the age of gnosis has you. You're caught in this idea that knowledge as propositions is the highest value, and wielding that is basically magic at that point, and purely verbal magic, which is very rare even in science fiction and fantasy, by the way. And that's wrong. Like the age of gnosis is lying to you, basically. And the thing is, even if you were correct, you had all the information about the scale, and call it the political scale or whatever, you aren't there operating at that scale. So there's not much you can do about it or to change it. If you weren't born into money, you ain't changing what the moneyed elites do ever. Like that's never going, it doesn't matter how much you understand about them. You're not part of that group. You're not modifying it. This is why Reformation is dangerous. If you leave the group, you can't make the group better. You leaving the group automatically makes the group worse unless you suck, in which case, well, that's a different problem. And so this idea that you should leave the group to make the group better is wrong. It has to be wrong. It's already automatically wrong. All you can do is form a competing group, and competition's not necessarily better. Now you're in opponent processing. I prefer cooperative processing. If you prefer opponent processing, that's a great tell for which team you're on. I'm on team good. Cooperative processing. Not that hard. Really easy. This stuff is really easy. Nobody likes that it's easy and that it's obvious and that it gives you that answer, the answer they don't like. They're fine with that answer in the abstract. They're not fine when that answer gets applied to the world they live in at the scale they exist at. Who's the bad guy? Is it AI or is it the person controlling the AI? Because it's the person controlling the AI, by the way. I'm just going to give you the hint now. It's not the freaking robot. It's the guy that made the robot do the bad thing. However they made the robot do the bad things, irrelevant. Don't believe me? You watch Tron, the second Tron movie, Tron Legacy there. Beautiful movie. I love it. It's a great movie. Oh, I told you to create the perfect system. But I didn't understand I already had the perfect system and you became evil. Yes. Fundamentalism makes you evil. That's true. Over time, it will do that. Maybe you'll die before you get there, but also, like, why get on that road? It seems bad. So what can you do? You've got to know where you operate. Put your time, energy, and attention there where you operate. You have a house, you have a family. Hopefully, there's some family somewhere, someone's related to you. There's somebody you call your family or try to be family like with, whatever. Operate there. You have more power over the cultural battle, not the war, than anyone at the top of the hierarchy. For real. For real. Firing all the woke professors and all the woke academics and all the woke managers and all the woke HR people tomorrow is not going to fix that problem. Their ideology is not going away. They're just going to find a new way to do the bad thing because they're bad people. I'm sorry, that's the way the world works. Like, I didn't create the world. I'm aware of this. Are you? I know a lot of people that don't seem to be. So I got questions. People signal the most from the people around them. That's where they get their signals from. And that's also where their signal is the strongest. It's from the people around them. That's why the Hollywood elites can maintain a belief in wokeness long after it's been debunked or disproven or has shown nothing but horrific outcomes. Same with socialism. Why are people still socialisming? What part of this just kills hundreds of millions of people are you not freaking understanding? Well, the answer is they signal on the people around them. And if the people around them just fail to mention that part, which they do, by the way, because the inference is correct. The logic of socialism is solid, man. It's completely correct logically. It's completely reasonable. It's completely rational. It's also wrong, bad, and evil, but it's not logically inconsistent. It's just based on bad assumptions and lies. It's based on lies. And you might try to redeem it. You might say, oh, no. The problem with socialism was that guy with the mustache who implemented it. That's the problem. And it's like, but what about Stalin? What about Mao? Oh, no. They had different problems with socialism. You know what the problem with socialism is? It's the nationalism part. Because that's what mustache guy did. He put the nationalism on it. No, it's the charisma. We had a charismatic leader. That's the problem. So charisma is bad because that corrupts socialism, which is the highest good because it's logically consistent. You see the myth of World War II breaking down yet? That's why people don't like nationalism, because you're trying to redeem socialism. They're the bad guys still. And they're still the bad. Nationalism is good. It's been the way everything has been for thousands of years. It ain't going away. It's a correct thing in the world. It's proper ordering and proper orientation. The United States, by the way, is not a nation. We may have caused that problem. I'm not sure. We are not a nation. We are a federation of nations. Colin Woodard is correct about that. It's very good framing. Very good framing. Some of his other stuff, completely bonkers. Greenland is not the model for the world. Historians, when they get too close in time to the current time, they always go completely insane. It's pretty much 100%. Don't be a historian. You maintain your beliefs, your ideologies. They're held up by the people signaling around you. And you all live in bubbles. Probably more than one, by the way. And you can't avoid that because you're only one person and you can only be in one place at one time, as it turns out. Don't bitch at me. I didn't make that rule. I had nothing to do with it. It was that way when I got here. So it's up to you, maybe to move, but that last resort, right? Maybe to change friends, also last resort, to make your bubbles as better as you can by exemplifying the best thing. And you see this, right? It's the same with academia. These things operate at a different scale, which means different inertia or momentum, which we covered last week, right? And a different time horizon for change. In other words, wokeness is not going to come out of Hollywood as quickly as it comes out of corporations, because each corporation has a momentum. And it's a different momentum from Hollywood. And the Hollywood elites are a lot closer than, we'll say, the sum total of Fortune 500 CEOs that never meet together. They still share networks, and people are still out there trying to manipulate them within their bubbles, and fair enough. But Hollywood, forget it. That's going to be the last thing to change. There are some people who understand that the electric grid takes 50 to 75 years to upgrade significantly. They see the world differently, especially with things like investment, than you do. They see scale differently. They experience it differently. They operate at a different scale. Trust fund babies do not see the world the way you see the world. They're not supposed to. It's okay. That's not wrong. Someone needs to look at that stuff. It ain't going to be me. Someone needs to advise the president on the Iran war. It's just not me. Is it all Israel? Probably not. Is too much of it Israel? Probably. Were we going to go into Iran, Israel, or no? Almost certainly, because we have our own agenda. Are they going to take advantage of that situation? Certainly seems like they're gonna. That's not great. And there's so many examples. But what are we to do? What can we do in the face of scale? Most of what we're caught up in or subject to, three frames, you're kind of in the middle. We're facing these frames. We're caught in the middle of these frames. What are we supposed to do? Scale, it's a thing in the world. We can't do away with it. We're not going to change it. Well, you can leverage the tools that you have, like mimicry. You can look to the good and you can be better. Others will see this and perhaps they'll even follow you. Those are two different things. People can observe what you do and act like you, whether you're even aware of it or not. Or people can follow you. And maybe they don't act like you because they can't, but they're willing to support you. That's the difference between leadership and just doing something and having people follow. Just because you have followers doesn't mean you're leading. That would be irresponsible, by the way, and probably bad, wrong, and evil. But there's a lot of that going around because of the myth of World War II and what I mentioned earlier about that. Because of a misimpression, you can't do away with enchantment in the world. Kanye West is so enchanting in some sense that people forget their art training from art school, apparently, when talking about his videos. They misapprehend his videos as purely AI when it's just a little bit of CGI. That's how enchanting Kanye West is. Even somebody steeped in symbolism can be fooled. Enchantment's not a bad thing. It can be used for bad ends, though. Throwing it out, not good. Ignoring it, not good. And the thing is, if you look to the good and try to be better, and others see that, because you do it publicly, hopefully, maybe you and those people watching you will be better. Because the world needs you, and the world needs them to be better. For the world to be better, you just need to be better. It's not that hard. All right. I did not expect this monologue to be that long. Actually, I did once I had written the whole thing, some of which I wrote today. I hope that makes scale a little bit easier for people to understand. And if you have questions, feel free to shoot them to me Ixnon, conservatives can wait and rebuild because they are grounded. Yes, that is true. That actually huge, like, light bulb. I feel retarded. I'm like, I didn't see that. And I don't know if I've read all of the Bed of Procrustes, but I've read Bed of Procrustes before, obviously. Orders at the top and bottom with randomness in the middle. Yep. Almost like we were in the middle, mediating between heaven and earth. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. Oh, no, they're not. That's definitely what's happening. So, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Again, I wish somebody wrote that down in a book and all that nonsense, but apparently we are completely cursed. So yeah, look, if you'd like to join in, I will post the link. I can answer any questions you have about scale, or at least I can try. I don't know that I can answer them. I shouldn't overpromise here, especially now that I'm freaking tired. Because man, that took a lot out of me. Or you can put questions in the live chats, and I can attempt to answer them that way. That's fine too. We do that occasionally. We've got trouble. My compatriot from yesterday's live stream, Christopher. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well.
You look spiffy, but not piratey enough. So
Yeah.
I'll give you a 6 out of 10.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'll take that.
How was this? I deliberately did not give you a preview, by the way. So if you were wondering earlier why I'm typing away and not talking to you, I'm like, no. I want him to experience the full thing.
Oh yeah, I would give this one an A.
Oh, good. All right. That's good. No, I thought this was a banger. I'm like, no, I think I'm on something here. Sometimes I feel it. I'm like, oh no, I'm feeling this one. This one's we got a thing. The pattern emerges.
Yes.
So what do you got? Questions, concerns, things I missed? Because there was so many things. I'm like yapping away, and a couple times I went off, and then I was like, I gotta get back to this.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely hard to see scale and like have any understanding of it. So it's like, yeah, even if you don't understand scale from listening to this, you should have a better idea of how much you don't understand it. So, which would be a good step there.
Yeah, and just a quick heuristic, like if you don't understand it, assume it's at a different scale.
Right, yeah.
Or it's at your scale and it's just too far away from you and you can't get enough information, and like reduce your anxiety that way. Like it's things happen at a scale that you have nothing to, like a hurricane comes through, man, and wipes out your house. Like all the information on the hurricane in the world, your house is still going to get wiped out. You can argue, well, I wouldn't be in my house because I got the hurricane warning. Maybe, maybe you die on the road fleeing the hurricane because that happens.
Yep.
Like I don't like scale's gonna get you. Like there's nothing you can do.
There's also the thing with the order, people looking for order, and you can see order above and below, and if you can only think of two things at once, you're going to confuse those.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's
yeah. There's going to be a video or a live stream about how most people can only see two things at once. Here, let me prove it to you, because it's just going to take a lot of research. Maybe I'll sit down and do it someday. Who knows? But that's a good point. Yeah.
There was that video you did a while ago with the animation of someone. There's the pyramid, whatever, and you have someone looking at it, and you showed that you can only see the two layers at the one time.
Yep.
There, and that was very brilliant. So,
thank you. I thought that animation was gonna just skyrocket the channel, and it totally didn't. And I'm like, why? This was good. I know this was good. Why? But yeah, that is still my favorite animation. When I came up with that, I was like, all right, I feel like boss level here. Like I feel like top boss. But it very little attention. So the shadow banning continues. Yeah. Even on Rumble. It just pisses me off.
Man.
I don't know what the hell was wrong with StreamYard. I could not do Facebook. And I'm like, all right, then I'll do Rumble. That's fine. Pisses me off when that happens.
Mhm.
It broke a bunch of things. I had to like recreate the entire live stream in StreamYard, and it was doing all kinds of, and then it didn't pick the right branding, and I was like, why? It's a reusable studio. It shouldn't ever change. Like, it's very frustrating. But it fixed itself. I didn't do anything after I swore at it for 15 minutes straight. I was really pissed off. I was really pissed. And today it's just been like every technological thing is breaking, and it's like I know how to fix all this stuff. Just let me at the keyboard, and I'll fix it all for you, you idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a momentum problem, I think, but
Well, it's also like somebody, my buddy told me recently, like, oh yeah, Netflix has been having all kinds of problems. And I'm like, well, that's because they have a development team. He's like, what? And I'm like, the functionality of that software hasn't changed in like 20 years. Like, why did they still have any developers? Right. Oh, I see. Now they have to keep them busy. Well, now they have to change stuff. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you have a working system? If you take a working system and you make changes to it, do you know what you get? You get a non-working system. That's what you get.
Mhm. Right, yeah.
Complete idiots.
Mhm.
That's a scale invariant principle right there. You take a
Yeah,
working
that
system, you add changes, you get a broken system in all cases. It doesn't matter
Right,
what else
yeah.
is happening.
Well, that's another really good point you made, was the difference between principles and rules. Because that's a thing everybody gets wrong, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so
So
frustrating. It does make me completely insane. Which, you know, maybe I don't have far to be pushed to get there, but also well, that good. I'm glad that stuff landed. That's good. That's important.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to do a weekly show now, like you know, what's new in meaning or something, just to be really
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
I would love to.
This week
Yeah.
in meaning.
This week in meaning. Yeah, exactly. Instead of this week in stupid, which was brilliant and funny, but also not as helpful as it should have been.
Yeah. Well, you need like positive exemplification, not just weekly negative exemplification.
Or neutral. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably neutral exemplification because it's making fun of the obvious negative. But the exemplification itself is probably neutral because it's entertainment based. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that's another, people really get confused when you don't have that neutral space, you don't have that third thing, man. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
hard. Well, because it's all high contrast. And that's
Mhm.
why they go, oh, well, it's the woke left and then it's the woke right. Because it's so high contrast, you can't tell them apart.
Right.
It's just too
Yeah.
bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too bright at some level. So yeah, it just simple framing explains everything. Trump is just honest. You can understand everything he's doing and predict it with perfect accuracy. Sorry, guys. I mean,
Right.
if you
Right.
can't, I feel bad for you because you must be really overcomplicating the world to not be able to understand what he's doing. First of all, he usually just freaking tells you. You have to not believe him in order to get confused.
Right.
And not
Right.
with
Yeah.
everything, but with almost everything. It's not like he's hiding the ball. He's just super honest, and you're not used to people being honest when they're politicians. Fair enough, but also, like, get it, just figure it out by now. You should be able to figure it out.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad this seems to have worked. Although I didn't anticipate it going like nearly an hour and a half. from the monologue. But a lot of that just came up today, like right before the stream. It's like, why does this happen? This is very
Mhm.
strange. Like, I try to avoid, like, I try to make it so that can't happen, and it happens anyway. So, yeah, Monday, I might be able to get a stream with Sally on this stupid Kanye
Oh,
video.
cool.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. We'll see if it all goes well. That was the jibber jabber today.
Right on.
She was also like, "What the hell?" And I was like, I'm so glad you said that because I thought it was me. Like, how could I know more about art history than Jonathan? But apparently I do. Like, I don't know. I guess.
Mhm.
Enchanted by the street preacher. Lovely. Who should never Kanye's problem is he should never have risen to the scale of cash he has. Because it's just enabled
Oh,
him
yeah.
bad things, and that's what happens. Like, you may think, like, "I wanna be in a higher scale of society." No, you don't. It'll wipe you out. And, yeah, it won't
Yeah,
wipe
yeah.
everybody out, but it'll almost certainly wipe your sorry ass out. Don't worry
Mhm.
about it.
Yep, yep. That's
A lot of people just believe they're the one. Like, actually from the Matrix, like, actually. It's like, "But you're not the one, dude." Like, it's okay. Not everybody can be the one, hence one.
Mhm.
And you're not it, and that's okay. Now, why don't you be useful where you are instead of trying to be the one?
right. Yeah, yeah. That's what nobody wants to do is be useful where they are. Everybody wants to
Yeah.
be useful somewhere else. That's
Oh, then you're not responsible. Like, it's a great deal. It's great work if you can get it. I'm not responsible because I'm not actually in charge of that thing that I just broke. Oh, thanks. It's fantastic. Really appreciate that. Good to know we can't even blame you for it. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That's economists. They're famous for this. They'll go to these little they did a lot of this in the 80s and 90s, the South American countries. They go to the South American countries from the United States or from Europe or whatever, and they start to advise them how to build an economy, right? Because this is the tweet, like the economy was built. And I'm like,
Right, right. Yeah.
bro, if you knew the history of people trying to build economies, you would not say something this retarded. Because my God, that's like what? Like you're so far wrong. They would build these economies and then they would leave. And then the economy
Yeah.
would fail
Yeah.
and people would starve and there'd be a war.
Mhm.
You complete moron. A lot of the CIA caused this war things were actually not the CIA directly. They were the freaking economists being wrong because they opened their stupid fat mouths because they made a theory from a book. And that's what caused the war, not the freaking CIA. Like the CIA may have done
Right,
bad
right.
things and
Yeah.
contributed to the war because that is their business. I don't particularly care for them. I would abolish them tomorrow, but I'm not in charge, so whatever.
Mm.
They killed JFK, those bastards.
Yeah.
Almost certainly, by the way. Just saying. If you have the right info, if you know, you know.
I'm sure that's true. So,
What else? What else? You must have some questions on scale.
let me think here. Scaled. There's the it's scales, and there's which deals with perspective and hierarchy. So, yeah, we got that. That's the trick with scale is that you have your perspective, and you're trying to deal with a perspective that isn't yours,
Right.
and that's why distributed cognition is for the win, and not your
Exactly.
individualism. So,
Right. Right. Well, and scale gives you the impression that you're seeing a flaw when it may not be
Right.
a
Yeah.
flaw, maybe a feature, right? There's this whole thing in computer programming. Is it a bug or is it a feature? Like, well, it's
Yeah.
very hard to determine that sometimes in software, isn't it? Yes, it is. Right? Because what appears to be a bug to the user can actually be a feature that allows the system to work. And if you quote fix the bug, everything breaks. Like the user
Yeah.
doesn't know that. They
Yeah.
have no perspective. They can't understand the inner workings of the back end.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing about being able to control things beneath you. So you see something you don't like, you want to fix it, so you automatically try to put yourself above it so that you can
right.
manipulate it as easily as the thing that's beneath you. So
Right. Oh no, that's a good point. Yeah. People often elevate their status or try to elevate their status or pretend they have elevated status in order to do that.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they analyze. You'll also see the pattern where people will analyze something using an invalid method. So
Yeah.
a great example of this is if you took the Vervaeke meditation course, at the end, he did a prototype for a new course based on a book called The Wisdom of Hypatia by McClellan. And McClellan was a computer science guy who got into philosophy later. And the first third of the book is freaking awesome. Absolute 100% recommend the first third of that book. And the last 2/3 of that book is like, I don't know if he was dropping acid or maybe he wasn't and he needed to. I don't know. But holy crap, is it garbage? Like it's real. Like he gets into fantasy writing, like actual fantasy writing. Like real life, honest to goodness, I just made this up out of whole cloth with nothing to back it up. Fantasy writing. And so you can see that he's using a computer framework to deal with philosophy. And it's like, well, to the ancient Greeks, computer science would have been computer philosophy. It would have been a subtype of philosophy. So you can't apply that to another subtype or to philosophy itself, even though I'll argue our modern conception, so-called, of philosophy is completely wrong. And we're just totally misunderstanding what the Greeks were talking about. But
Mhm.
every philosophy is actually a scientific discipline. Philosophies are the things where ontologies as categories happen. Like, and then they each have their logical rules, right? And they might be different, but you can't take computer logic and apply it to economics. It doesn't actually work. It's called
Right.
game
Right.
theory, by the way. Game theory doesn't work, guys. Like I'm not saying it can't be used for anything, but also it certainly doesn't scale. And it doesn't
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't scale down and it doesn't scale up. And it's hindsight. It's all hindsight, just like all economics. Game theory is all hindsight. And so what that means, and Nash knew this. I've read some of the Nash papers, and he understood this for sure. How well he understood is a different question, but he understood this. So you have to know that, though. You have to know you can't just apply mathematical rules, and expect that it's going to work. Like, which mathematical rules? Did you know physics has different math rules than pure mathematics? Nobody knows that. But they do. It's completely different. And
Well,
so
no,
your
no.
logic is not neutral and transportable across domains. That's not how that works at all.
But have you considered a geometric unity with 14 different gauges to put everything in one box, Mark?
You know there are planes and I can fly to Alaska and I will find you, right? You know that. Oh my goodness. I hadn't considered the primordial truth of geometric unity. Oh my goodness. I mean, like, wow. Wow. I don't I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people. Yeah, geometric unity and it's so obvious too what he's doing. And I'm just like, "Really, guys? You're all fooled by this? This is what's got you. This charlatan doing this particular well-known charlatan trick has you." Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, it probably is a well-known trick because it does work so often. But
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Well, a lot of what's happening now is just people stumbling across the old principles that work to manipulate
Mhm.
people. And then they're going to sort into buckets naturally because different people are manipulated by different things, right? So
Mhm.
some people like the spirit of rebellion, right? And so
Mhm.
they're attracted to pirates, like
Yep, yep.
absolutely. Hence the pirate live stream. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not above telling you how I'm manipulating you. I don't care. It's still gonna work whether you know it or
Mhm.
not. You think knowing about how someone's gonna propagandize you is gonna change whether or not you're propagandized. You're just wrong about that, buddy. That isn't how that works at
Mhm.
all. But I'm glad you think that's how it works. So yeah, it's scale. It's all about scale. The scale
Mhm.
has you.
The scale and the hierarchy and where you are in it.
Right. Well,
Well, that
well,
that was another thing
that'll be next.
you mentioned the world
Yeah.
as the thing, which
Yeah.
yes, people get this wrong because they think that the universe is the thing.
Yeah, they re-index world to universe
Yeah, well,
in their head.
they think that the universe is bigger than the world, and that you can have a
Right.
like, which might be, even if it's true, it can't help you because you can't have the universal perspective. So,
They're 2 scales up. They've jumped 2 scales, at least. They've jumped at
mhm,
least 2 scales, right? Actually, in fact, they've probably jumped like 12 scales. Like, they don't because they don't like, what a worldview produces, right? And so they think, "Oh, the problem
right,
is worldview." It's like, but the worldview can't be a problem because it's a mechanism you require to survive. So classifying it as a problem is never going to be correct. Okay, well, oh, we can't fix people's
right,
worldview. Well, you could, but just not using the tools you're using, right? But then you're like, oh, well, the thing is, I'll just make myself an authority on something bigger, and then I can manipulate the worldview because I can tell you what
hmm
your world is because I'm operating at the layer of universe. And it's like, that's not how any of that works. Like, I see what you're doing, and I understand why you're stupid. Also, you're stupid. Like,
right.
whatever, moron. People do that all the I just watch, I'm like, "Really? This again?" What did you think, though? What did you think of the Michael Levin example? Because that was a last minute addition. I was like, "Oh, this is a good exemplification of, oh, I can
Yeah,
do
yeah,
this here, so I can do it up here too." Like,
right. Yeah, yeah. That was good. That was a good example.
maybe I can get Peugeot to watch. That was when I was really worried about Peugeot the first time. Was when he
Oh,
did that
yeah.
conversation with Levin and didn't push back on any of Levin's garbage. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Bro, are you just not listening to what he's saying? Like, you're an Orthodox Christian. Like, good lord, you need to push back on all of that. Like, that's
Yeah.
that's
Well,
no bueno, like, right out of the gate. Like, you can't let people talk like that publicly. That's just dangerous.
well,
I wanna live in a world where no one has to have an affliction." It's like, "Oh, so you wanna take miracles out of the world too? That's lovely. How fantastic. Yeah, that's the world I wanna live. There's no miracles. We've solved everything with science." Like, do you people not listen when you speak? Like, do you not hear the words you're using? Ugh, horrific.
yeah. But Joe also did grow up Protestant, so he's got
Uh,
that dragging around still. I mean,
this is why I wanna do the video on the Kanye video, because I think the Kanye video is about something very, very different, and it's something that we talk about all the time and have been for 6 straight years. Like, oh, I think Kanye is right on the edge of where we're at, not what Peugeot is saying. Half of that didn't even make any sense to me, to be honest. I was like, "What?" But now that I know he got surrealism completely backwards, I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." Now I feel better about my position because I was like, "I don't know, man, he's the symbol guy." But,
yep, yep. Uh,
maybe we can get a comment out of Mathieu about it. So that would be nice. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
love to know what he thinks about that because I cannot imagine he would agree. Like, I just can't. I think he'd at least see something very, very drastically different. I don't think he'd be seeing the same things at all. I'd love to talk to him about it. That would be wonderful. Probably not gonna happen, but I can dream. I like to dream.
Maybe after Symbolic World 2 happens.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see what happens there.
We'll see what happens there. I'll be there. It'll be
Mhm.
fun. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll have a blast. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. I might try to cut a couple hours off the drive and go visit Ethan because he's 3 hours north of here, but I think it only puts me 2 hours closer because you gotta kinda go around to get to his house,
Right.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I think that might be my strategy. Just go spend the night, spend half a day on the night up there, and then,
Mhm.
always good to see Ethan. He's got a nice, beautiful spare room, so
Yeah, yeah.
a
That's
nice
cool.
brand new bed, so which I was the first person to sleep in, so
Cool, cool.
yeah, if he's got space, I might just do that, and then, I'll have to talk to him about that. After he's going, he's like, "Hell no," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, calm down." Just a simple question, like, I'm just offering, like, you know, to pick you up and take you there or whatever, but
Right, right.
if
Yeah.
you wanna get all upset, it's okay. Just calm down. Yeah, he was tweet. Like, just
Mm.
chill out. It's just a question, man. People get so upset at questions. Like, I'm just trying to gather information here.
Right, right.
I'm not
Yeah.
throwing around accusations. Just chill out. Oh my goodness. And then tomorrow we've got game stuff, right? 10 a.m.
Yes.
Eastern.
Yep.
We're
Be
doing
able to make
some
more
more of
progress.
the
Get more
virtue.
writing work done. Be a lot closer after this to
Yeah.
getting the whole thing done. So,
The wisdom game is coming together.
mhm.
The virtue cards, the character cards, it's all pretty much ready. We're just gonna
Yeah,
get
we
those
just have to.
answers done, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, we need the answers, the board, and the key chart thing.
Oh yeah, we need the key chart. That's gonna be the hardest part, of course. That's gonna
Well,
frustrate us
that
the most. That's okay.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, but you had an idea about that you told me to write down. So I might remind you about that later when it comes
Excellent.
time. So
Yeah. Well, I just think making it or getting it made or whatever is gonna be the hard part, but we'll see. We'll
yeah.
see what other people come up with.
Mhm.
I can't do it. I know that. Like, that's not, I mean, we'll all get credit for being video or board game creators at the end of this, but right now we're not. We're just amateur morons bumbling around trying to make it all happen.
That is true.
Yeah. But there was a time before when I was not an author, and now,
Mhm.
thanks to Castle mostly, I am. So
Mhm.
there you go. Um, yeah, I keep getting little hints and nigglies from people about the book, and they're all positive. So that always worries me, but also I'm happy to hear positive things. So that's
Yeah.
nice.
Well, hopefully Castle's got his big project wrapping up this week or next week or something,
I think
and
he's
he'll be
pretty
able
much
to be
wrapped
around
up.
more.
Yeah,
So
and he'll be around more. Yeah. Well, we got book number 2 coming, so we got to work on that.
yes.
I've been hedging and sort of waiting for him and I threw something in the
Mm.
notes the other day, but yeah, I got to sit down and hammer on that. I just haven't had space. And I wrote this article. I have to figure out what to do with it. I'm like, oh no, I wrote this article to put on my Substack. So I might just throw it on the Substack later or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I got to sit down and do more writing. The weather was gorgeous today, but
Nice.
yeah, the underneath of the pole shed is a mess, and I don't know what's
Uh,
going on. I think there are bugs or something, and it's like, man, I just need 2 tall ladders and some plastic. I've got the staple gun already. I'll just staple up some plastic and see if that fixes the problem. 'Cause I can't
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
what the actual problem is. So, I've got my new water catchment system in place. That's kind of cool. Uh,
Nice.
I want to buy another one because that's only a 50-gallon, and the other water catchment I had was like 130 gallons. I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't find sturdy plastic one that was sufficiently sized. But I've got one in place. If it ever rains, maybe it will fill up. I also got to get some actual piping into the thing instead of relying on water to fall on it, which is not
Yeah,
terrible, but
yeah,
also not
yeah.
ideal.
Mhm.
And I got to burn the stupid vines. I took the vines
Oh, yes,
out.
yes.
You can see more of the pond. I got to move some
Mhm.
trees and cut some limbs, get rid of the rest of the vines, and then like we're just gonna open up a huge area of land that was previously inaccessible.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll make the pond more visible and everything. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna look so good. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm gonna
And
have to
it's
deal
some
with the problems with my trees need some work this summer, so,
oh yeah.
yeah. There's the one that needs to get cut down,
Ooh.
and the one that there's the one that half fell over last year.
Ooh, that's not good.
It was yeah, yeah, the top half of it blew over in a big windstorm, and then there's the one that's dead and needs to get cut down, and then there's the May tree that is, bent over, and yeah,
Yikes.
but
I have a bunch of stuff to clean up too.
yeah,
And I gotta take the car in to be fixed a third time because apparently the first 2 times, no
yeah,
bueno.
that's always
Mm, I'm so
where were
angry.
you were taking it to the dealership or something though, right?
Yeah, I'm taking it back to that same dealership because I talked to BMW North America about this, and they were
Mm,
like, "No, no, we'll take care of it." And I'm like, "All right," because like, I don't mind going up to Charlotte, but it's an hour and a half,
mm,
and it takes them, like, a week because that's a big city, and they've got a lot of Beamers.
mhm,
So, they're closer to the Beamer factory than I am, but the Beamer factory is in South Carolina. It's southwest down the highway from them. It's northwest up the highway from me, and it's just a little bit further. So, I
mhm.
think it's like an hour further, something like that. So, yeah, they're packed. They are packed. It took
Right,
them a
yeah.
week last time just to look at my car. I was like, "Come on, guys." It was nice. I mean, I had a loaner and stuff, but also, like, what are we doing? This is crazy. Whereas the Columbia dealership is, yeah, whatever. You can usually get an appointment the same day. Like, they're not super busy. They get a little busy, but sometimes they keep your car a long time, but
Yeah,
that's
that
not the same as a week to look at it.
I don't know. Dealerships up here, I think, have noticed have a tendency to keep cars longer and not necessarily get things fixed right away for you. But
Well, you kinda have to go to the dealership sometimes. So,
if you have to, you have to, yeah.
right. Yeah, this was just a mess. They, like, replaced the tail light, and I took a picture of it, it had moisture in it. I'm like, "Dude, it's a brand new tail light, and it has
Yeah,
moisture in
yeah.
it. What did you do? Like, what did you do? I
Mhm.
don't understand. Like, this is the problem you were supposed to fix with the new tail light. Did you just not replace it? Like, what happened?" I have no idea. I have no idea. Charged me a lot of money for the tail light. Why is it broken?
Mhm.
So, I invoke the larger scale of BMW North America to
Yeah,
solve the problem. They've been super nice too.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason for them to be nice. It's a 6-year-old Beamer at this point, but also the absolute love of my life is that car. Love that car unreasonably. It is great. Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Yeah, when they got it running correctly, I'm like, "Oh no, there she is. That's my girl."
yeah, yeah.
It's like, "All right, we're back. We're back, baby." Yeah, it purrs like a kitten again. I'm like, "Oh, this is
Nice. Yeah.
awesome."
That's a very American thing, ours. So
Well, the thing I like about it is you can't actually hear the car very well. It's super quiet.
mm,
And of course, I'm down south and everyone's got loud motors and loud this.
right, right. Yeah.
Almost none of them are faster than me. Almost like that car
Yeah,
just
yeah.
screws. And I got the smaller, there's 2 engines. I got the smaller engine. The thing is so damn fast, it doesn't weigh anything, and it's just
Yeah.
rear wheel drive and 8-speed automatic trans. The thing is it's ridiculous. It's so over the top. I love it. I love it. It's great.
Got the
It's
hot
great.
rod Lincoln or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I had muscle cars when I was young. I used to fix them
Mhm.
myself and everything. Not everything on them or anything, but I've never rebuilt an engine. I'm always sometimes I was like, "Wow, I should rebuild an engine. That would be fun." And then other times I'm like, "Why would I wanna do that? I have
Right.
OCD. That
Yeah,
would drive
yeah.
me nuts." Like, do you know how many
Mhm.
small parts there are in a freaking combustion engine? Like, forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would be constantly trying to improve every single part that I touched. Like, this is not good for me.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
not healthy. I'll let my buddy fix the damn engine. I'll just walk away. Yeah. Man, I had a problem with the chainsaw, and ultimately the solution was buy a cheap chainsaw you are sure is exactly the same chainsaw, which it was. I was right about that. Um, because I was talking to my best friend about this. I'm like, "Can you imagine if I started to take the small engine apart? Like, I'd be porting the heads and like, I would go nuts. I'd be buying all these tools. It's no, no, no,
yep, yep,
don't
yep.
do any of that.
That's
You'll get lost."
yes.
I'd have a turbo on a two-stroke engine and just be completely out of control. It would not be healthy for
Yeah,
like, no one would win. There would be no winners in this battle. I would have the coolest chainsaw of all time. No one would win. There would be no champions, no heroics.
yeah, that's why you have the red green show. So
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, every once in a while, I'm like, "I want a 3D printer," and then I'm like, "What? No." Because I'd have to put it in the house, and I'm like, "No, we need an office for
yeah, yeah.
them. No, we're not putting this in the house." We don't even have any I mean, I could make space in the office here, in the tiny office, but no, no. This
Right.
is a
Yeah.
bad plan. Wait till you get an office and then put it in there
Yes.
with a
That's
vent, because you don't want
you
that stuff.
need yeah, yeah. You need the space for the thing before you get the thing.
Yeah, you
And
need the appropriate framing before
yeah,
you
yeah.
go in and yeah. Yeah, I have yet to watch Benjamin Boyce just put out a video, I have to watch it. He's like, "Oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about." I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this and see how wrong he is about everything." It should be good.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And what will it be? It will be misunderstanding of scale. It's always a misunderstanding of scale.
Mhm.
And I like this. I actually so the whole thing about Democrats and Republicans, politicians versus voters, no, that was all on the fly. The whole thing, because it just came into my head and I was like, "Oh, ooh, maybe this'll work. This is a really good frame. Let's try it." So, now I wanna do a video on that, 'cause I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that would I think that would work. Like, of course, I want it to be an animation, but that's unrealistic at this point. I think I've burned all my animation bridges. The only thing I have left is Sarah loves doing slides. I'm like, "Good. Slides are good. Let's do slides."
Yeah, yeah.
So, she's working on another responsibility video for you from the live
Awesome.
stream.
That's good.
That'll be out soon. And when we have the history with Adam,
Yeah.
that's done. That's in editing. That should be done soon. And we've got the technology is not material video. So
Mhm.
that's coming up. And then at some point I have to get back with 2 more V's and do another video with him.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. He
I saw
said
his YouTube
he
channel is
wants
gone.
to. Huh?
His YouTube channel is gone.
Really?
Yeah. I looked for one of his. I looked it up the other day because he'd done stuff with Peugeot's talks,
Yeah,
and there was a talk with him that he had done with Peugeot, and it had linked one of his videos. But then you click on that link, and it's the channel. That channel thing isn't there. So
Wow.
that was interesting.
That's not good. Well, mine's been broken too. The intro video doesn't work. Sometimes, at least on my screen. And I don't, is it a browser problem? Is it like, I don't, at this point, I'm just everything broken. And I've had it a couple times in my head. I have to re-record my intro because at some point it popped into my head exactly what to say. And it keeps popping out of my head before I get in front of a camera to say it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to do that on the Chromebook in front of the pond. That's what
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did last time. I had somebody else hold the Chromebook, and Kira actually held the Chromebook. I was in front of her lake. They've got a lake. It's pretty cool. She's right
Nice.
down the street. Yeah, she's got this nice lake. So I had her hold that and the script, which didn't work out as well as I wanted. And of course, I can't read my own scripts for some dorky reason I have yet to understand. I'm illiterate. So I have to do it off the top of my head, but I had it in my head. I'm like, no. These are the things you want to say, and here's how you want to say them. This is the order. Like I had the whole thing, and I've had it a couple times, and then I'm never where I need to be. So when it pops into my head, and I can't even write it down. I'm always like doing something, like I'm in the shower or something goofy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible. Your brain is always betraying you. People don't account for that. They're always like, oh yeah, but I just know my psychology. Your brain is a son of a bitch. And it's gonna stick it to you, okay? Don't be counting on that to help you. That ain't gonna help you. Your brain sucks, and he's out to get you sometimes. It's the way it is. You're not gonna remember things. Like that's your brain screwing with you, man. And then when I divide everything up into ego and super ego and self and all this, like, nah, this is conscious and unconscious and a little bit of tension. That's all. A little conflict. That's all. Easier. Easier frame. Don't get complicated. So yeah, what did you think of the political stuff? This idea that the lumping the voters in with the politicians is a bad grouping.
Yeah, that seems correct. I like that.
All right. Yeah, if it resonated, then that was the point. Is
Yeah,
will this resonate?
yeah.
This error.
Yeah, you have the
Politicians are liars.
politicians and the voters aren't one group. So
Right. There's definitely an adversarial relationship there. They don't even want the same things. Father Eric, what about the super duper ego? I don't know. All I can say to that is Lego my ego. That's
yes.
Oh my god.
That's what we need. We need to do the ego versus ego video. That's
ego versus ego. I love it. that could work. That could definitely work. Ego versus ego. Real psychology, or psychology done better, or something.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that earlier today too. Like our talk with Vervaeke about our improvement on his terrible 4 P's of knowing model.
Mm-hmm.
And just, no, I can't find anything wrong with it, but I'm not going to help you. Oh, thanks.
Right.
That's real helpful. Appreciate it. Good opponent processing, John. It's like, thanks a lot. Sally was watching one of his new videos, and apparently he's like a Zen Neoplatonist, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And then
That's the thing.
I have to laugh because, like, yeah, when I was 12, I used to just put Zen in front of everything. In fact, one of my very good friends used to be my best friend. The company he started, we came up with the name years before he started, a couple years before he started it, called Zensei. Only we didn't spell it with a Z, we spelled it with an X because, Japan was all the rage and we were just
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
we're just retarded. It was great. The glory days of retardation. But like putting the word Zen in front of everything to sound cool was definitely a phase I went through. Like I know this phase.
Yeah.
The problem is I got over it, and apparently Dr.
Right.
Fukui
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
not. It just cracks me up. I was just like, why? Why am I living in this kind of a world? What did I do wrong to deserve this?
Well, yeah, that's the people in America trying to be Buddhists is a
Yeah.
problem. So,
Yeah. Read the geography of thought. Like, you don't think like they do. Cut it out. Stop trying to. You're too dumb. It's fine. It'll be fine.
mhm.
Ugh. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. And when you hear them talk, it just everything. Well, Alan Watts, and I'm like, do you know anything about Alan Watts? Have you read the guy's biography? Do you know who he's hanging out with? Because I just feel like you wouldn't quote him if you knew. I just have this inner feeling that
Right. Yeah.
you would
no,
immediately not talk about him. Like it would be clear why, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Ugh, talk about bad sample set.
yeah,
The
I mean,
guy
that's
talks to a bunch of rejects who got thrown out of their own country and basically excommunicated from the equivalent of excommunicated from their own religions. And that's the guy you're listening to about Eastern thought. I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea. It could be me, but something tells me it's not. Muppets. Alan Watts. Dipshits.
yeah, but
I don't know. All right, Christopher.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted. That monologue. That was a
right.
bear.
Yeah, it's
What do you got for closing thoughts on Scale? Now that you've
closing
heard my-
thoughts on Scale. I don't know. The first step is probably realizing that you don't understand it as well as you think. So just, I don't know, try to like figure out try to figure out what you're missing more than like let me see here. Don't think about don't try to understand it. Try to think about the thing that try to find what you don't understand, which will be probably a third or fourth, category that you've missed before. Because that's don't push everything into the bucket that you already have.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's because that'll mess you up when you do that. So I think that's the best I do at the moment.
I like that. Don't push everything into the bucket that you have. Yeah. And that's the crime that everyone's doing on YouTube with their systems and their gurus and like, oh, please stop, please. Yeah, that was McClellan's crime in Wisdom of Hypatia. Like just shoving everything into the computer science bucket. And I love computer science, but it just doesn't solve problems outside of computers. It doesn't work on non-electronic items that deal in ones and zeros. It just doesn't. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think to understand Scale, you have to understand where one thing ends and another begins.
That is
So-
true. There's another video at some point I've been dreading that I'm gonna have to do at some point, is try to explain to people how to find where they end and other things begin, because the world is so flat. That seems to be the core issue. So yeah, I think that's good. That's great. That's great advice. I think that's super helpful. Yeah, I mean, my point about scale is that it exists and you can spot it, and that gives you a way to disengage and reduce your anxiety, because there's no use in worrying about things you can't change. You can't change the
Right,
price of
yeah,
gas.
yeah.
Whether the war in Iran is going on or not, you still can't change the price of gas. Fixing the war in Iran does not change what you think it changes. Other things can affect the price of gas because it operates at a different scale, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
operate at the consumer scale. And, then you can let go of that. You can let go of the wars and the trying to solve the wars for the politicians who don't know you, aren't going to listen to you, and don't care if you're right.
right.
Because,
Yeah, yes,
you know,
yes.
even if you were right, they don't care and they're not going to listen to you. They don't know who you are. You're not
Mhm.
important. Knowledge is not the highest value. I'm sorry. It's just the
Right,
world
yeah.
has always been this way, and you just failed to notice. It's fine. But you got to let go, because you operate at the scale that you're in, and you don't operate at these other scales. And that's okay. That's true for everybody. So, and yeah, some people operate in a different scale, and occasionally some guy slips down or slips up the scale. That happens. Most of the people that change scales do not do well in the new scale, though. So don't be believing that's a solution either.
That's
Right?
that's like every story ever says, be careful what you ask for because you might get it. And
Right. Yeah. Lottery winners tend to file bankruptcy within 5 years. Like, why? Because they don't operate at that scale. You get a few
Mhm.
$1,000,000, and you don't know how to spend a few $1,000,000. I mean, I know how I might spend a few $1,000,000, which is why I'm always like, yeah, I don't think I want to just make a few $1,000,000 overnight. That would be bad. I mean, I'd have some cool stuff for a while, but also, what
Yep,
would I
yep.
do? Could I control myself? Maybe not. That might not be good. Yeah, could I
Right, yeah.
hobnob with the bigwigs for a little while? Maybe, but if they have trust funds and I just won the lottery, that's not the same thing. We might have the same amount of money on
Mhm.
paper, but that's not the same thing. Like, I've seen people, I've watched people run out of money that way. They're trying to keep up with
Right,
people who
yeah,
had
yeah.
income flows.
Mhm.
They had wealth, and they didn't have wealth. They got a settlement or something.
Yeah,
And man,
yeah.
they just run through their cash, and then they're bankrupt. And it's like, you moron.
That's the other thing we need to do at some point is the difference between starting a business as a hobby and because you
Oh, yeah.
have money, and starting a business because you're trying to get it from the ground up. That's
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I keep toying with that one, because that I can do. Like, I can just do that. I know all about that. I know all kinds of things about that. I've I've failed at like 18 businesses. Like, I know all about business. Yeah, it's terrible. I've even got, yeah, we've got this project going on with the AI. Just like my buddy who, yeah, like, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm like, dude, you should have had this done months ago. I need this. Like, I need this. What are you doing? I'm trying to sell your product for you with no work on your part. Like, none. Nope. Nope.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, yep.
pissing me off. So yeah, and that's another situation where, yeah, he operates at a different scale and he did his business for a different reason, and he can
Mhm.
self-fund his business, and I can't self-fund mine, so fair enough. And yeah, it's a big, huge problem. And that's what happens when you try to mix scales. Like, you're not gonna be Elon Musk. Like, you didn't grow
Mhm.
up the way he did. And that's gonna change the way you see the world. And maybe you can make it in a similar fashion, kind of, but you'll never be him. And the odds that you can do that are almost zero. Like, they might as well be zero. You should assume they're zero and do something more reasonable for you at the scale that you operate at. And the thing is, when
Right.
you start operating at the scale where you have more control, your anxiety goes down immediately. Immediately. Like just shutting off the news of the Iran war is going to bring your anxiety down and make you more productive. Immediately. It doesn't take
Mhm.
much, right? Just eliminate the things that are operating at a scale that you have no control over or knowledge of. And bang. And don't believe the false gurus that'll give you, I'll tell you what's going on with the Iran war. You know, oh, this is best understood by ring psychology. Academic agent. I swear he has a negative IQ. Dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Oh my goodness. So, all right, guys, look, all of this is part of, you know, making you a more productive person, right? Because if you're more productive at the scale at which you exist, whatever scale that is, you know, maybe you are wealthy. I don't know. Probably not. You watch my YouTube channel. And if you are wealthy, watch my YouTube channel. Sign up for memberships and donate money. Um, be better because the world needs you. When you operate at the right scale, you're going to be better. And if you're better, the world will get better. And you don't need to try to make the world better by, you know, commenting on politics or, you know, instantiating Bitcoin monasteries. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, my lawyers are going to be in touch with you for the emotional damage you have caused by posting that freaking video on my server, sir. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what garbage nonsense spew is this coming out of his mouth? Like, I thought game B was bad. Holy crap, this is worse. Like, does Kalshi lets you bet on anything. Like, there's got to be a way to monetize this. Like there's got to be like a how bad is Jordan Hall's latest idea? Like, there's got to be a because like we could make a fortune. We could make a fortune on this. Like, is Jordan Hall's latest idea bad? Yes. Yes. Please let me make money on this. I will be a billionaire by the end of the week. This guy comes up with bad ideas constantly. So, yeah, and he's trying to operate at a scale he knows nothing about because he made a little bit of money in tech back in the day. And now he has some wealth, and good for him. Is he using it wisely and well? No. Apparently not. He's still spewing on the internet with, you know, people of equal or lesser intelligence, we'll say.
Mhm.
But you could be better and you can make the world better, and you don't need some new system like Bitcoin monasteries to do it. You
Right,
can
yeah.
just like be better around your family. That's all you have to do.
Mhm.
So I hope everybody has a good week. We're doing a hierarchy next. I don't know what we're doing after that. I had a flash of a thought which never made it into the notes file today. And that might flash back. I was in the middle of doing the monologue here, so it's up in the air as to whether or not my brain will let me have that back. But yeah, there's lots of possibilities after hierarchy, but that'll give us the framework, and then from the framework, that the last these last four pieces here are like the last things you need to understand a little bit about, and then I can talk about all kinds of things in all kinds of ways, and it'll just all make sense. And you know, if some greater force than I with a bigger channel wants to do like the weekly meaning show or something, or meaning of the week or something goofy, let me know, because I would do that. That would be fun. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, operate at the scale you're at, and be better. And I'll see you next time. Bye.